All right. Well, seeing that it is 1:02 and the room is filling up, we'll say welcome. We're going to get started. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself in the chat, that would be wonderful. If you can do that now, that would be great. My name is Renee Brown, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the executive director of the Center for Community Engaged Learning at Michigan State University. Michigan State University is a longstanding member of the Research University Civic Engagement Network, fondly known as TRUCEN. And I also serve on the leadership team for TRUCEN. And there are a few folks that are presenting today too, who serve on the leadership team. Also want to acknowledge the executive director for Campus Compact and strong supporter, outstanding leader for us. Bobby Rohr is here with us too. So welcome, Bobby. We're glad that you're here. This is an exciting time for us. It's our first virtual lightning session. This type or the style of session has been very successful at TRUCEN annual meetings and at the Campus Compact Conference. It's a fast-paced, energizing way to learn quickly from across the network, and it really provides us with space to learn from one another in true network style. So it is designed for participation. We ask that you please stay through the presentations and participate in the two breakout sessions after. Well, you'll get the opportunity to talk in more detail with our presenters today and to contribute to the conversation that we're having on this topic. Speaking of our topic, so we are talking today about promising work in civic engagement minors, certificate and distinction programs. And we're hoping to create an open space for you all to be able to share your experiences with these programs and learn from our esteemed presenters today as well. So before we get started, thank you, Campus Compact, for your ongoing support of these types of efforts. We're really pleased that TRUCEN is able to offer this type of programming to members and beyond. The way this is going to work today, so there will be 7-minute presentations by each presenter, and we will take a small stretch break after the third presentation. And there will be 2 rounds, 15 minutes each, where you can choose one of the presenters to follow up with conversation and to ask questions. And then we'll bring you back, and then you can do the same for a second 15-minute session. So I would like to get us started today so that we can stay true to our fast-paced, energizing format. And I'm going to be introducing our presenters in the order that they will be presenting. So first up, we have the Community Engagement and Social Change minor at UCLA. We are joined by 2 colleagues from that institution. Doug Barrera, who uses the he, him pronouns, is the Associate Director for Faculty and Community Engagement at the UCLA Center for Community Engagement. His connection to this program is that he revised the curriculum in 2029 or helped to revise it in 2029 and teaches classes in the minor, including the capstone, which is a research seminar. What he wants to share about the program, he's excited to share about the program, is that students who take the minor love it. They say it's a transformative experience for them. And he's excited to share it with you all as colleagues to talk about, different dimensions of who we are. I asked each presenter what they might be doing if they weren't serving us in academia. And so Doug says he would be doing something sports related, like a coach or an announcer. I can see that, Doug. I can see it. Our second presenter, same place, Shalom Staub, goes by his first name only. And he is the Assistant Vice Provost and Executive Director for the Center for Community Engagement. And how is he connected to the program? Well, he has overall responsibility and works very closely with the Faculty Advisory Committee. Why he's excited to share with us today, he thinks that they have, and I would agree, developed a rigorous academic program that prepares students for meaningful social change work through critical academic work and multiple partnerships with community organizations. I love this answer. If he were not in academia today, what might he be seeking? And he says, retirement. So with that, we're going to turn this over to you, Doug and Shalom, and we're excited to hear about your program.
Thanks, Renee. Appreciate that. I'm going to go to our presentation here. Okay, so thanks everybody for being here. Shalom and I are very excited to spend a few minutes talking to you about the community engagement and social change minor, CESC, as we lovingly refer to it. So let me start by taking you through the learning outcomes we have for the minor, and for each of these. Um, as you might expect, we have a number of kind of sub outcomes. And so I won't go through all of those, the sub outcomes now. If you want to hear a little bit more, we invite you to join us in the breakout room. But for the sake of time, let me tell you about what we're trying to accomplish through this minor, and then Shalom will talk to you about how we go about that. So, um, as we were thinking about what do we really want students to get out of this minor, what do we want students who graduate from UCLA as undergraduates having minored in community engagement and social change. And so the first thing that we landed on was really disciplinary knowledge about these topics. Um, Really thinking about not just engagement for the sake of engagement, but really thinking about how we engage with our local communities for the purposes of creating change and really trying to get our students to be thinking of themselves as change makers. Obviously, as part of that work, and particularly working in the diverse communities of Los Angeles, we want students to develop some kind of skills around uh, multiple cultures, right? Having that understanding of the ways in which you engage are going to differ depending on the cultural groups that you're working with. We want them, as I said before, to really develop a personal identity as a change maker, having come out of this program. I talk to students all the time about developing an opinion. Young people more and more, seems like they're shying away from having actual opinion about things, and so we think it's important that they develop an opinion, but hopefully that's an informed opinion based on the work that they're doing, both in the classroom and in the community. We're really focused on social responsibility and social justice. Obviously, as we're trying to use the modality of community engagement to create change, we want our students and we want to talk about change from that standpoint, from a social justice standpoint. And then as we all talk about in this field, we want students to really understand reciprocity when it comes to community engagement, and the value that our communities are going to get, as well as the value that the students are going to get and the university is going to get. Okay, let me turn it over to Shalom to talk about the structure of the minor.
Thank you, Doug. So in order to achieve those learning outcomes, what we did in our 2019 reboot of this minor is to really center the multiple community engagement experiences. Um, what I'm about to describe is kind of an ideal pathway, but we also recognize that students take various pathways through this minor. They start with a core course, either a lower division course that I designed called Engaging Los Angeles, or an upper division course called Perspectives on Civic Engagement that Doug designed and teaches. Both of them lay the groundwork for community engagement work. Both of them are community engaged courses where students are doing work in the community that aligns with the focus and issues of the course. In Engaging LA, which is taught every quarter, so 3 times a year with 120 students and 40 partners, students get a high level exposure to critical issues, social inequality issues in Los Angeles, and are introduced to a range of social change modalities, and are also introduced to a theory of change framework that kind of um, goes throughout the minor. Then over the course of the minor, students take 2 more community engaged courses from any number of departments. We have over 30, close to 35 departments at UCLA that offer community engaged courses. So students are taking community engaged courses in areas, maybe their own major or a minor, a second minor that they're doing, or simply an elective course in an area that interests them. They could also be doing this as an internship course, an academic course that accompanies their internship. I'm dropping into the chat now the master list of courses that are approved for the minor, which represent, again, over 35 different departments. So that's really the interdisciplinary nature of this minor. All students take a strategy of social change course. So while they might have been introduced in their core course to a variety of social change modalities, we have them take a course that focuses on a particular strategy of social change. That might be policymaking, organizing, advocacy work. It might be more niche, like documentary filmmaking as a strategy for social change. Then they have a free course, an upper division elective course. We do academic advising with them so that they align this course with their interests in the minor, what it is that they're trying to accomplish for themselves. And then it culminates in a 2-quarter community engaged research capstone. Doug teaches one of the sections. We have a lecturer that teaches another of the sections. And this is where students are working with community partners to co-develop research questions. The students then undertake the research that answers questions that are meaningful to the community partners. And we've built in an e-portfolio process for reflection across the minor. So I'll stop there. I hope this has given you a 30,000 foot quick view, and we'll answer more questions and have more discussion in the breakout rooms. Thank you.
All right, thank you both so much. Reactions and clapping and all of that is welcome. Please feel free to, partake in that. And we're going to make sure you've noted your questions, and we're going to go ahead and move on. So our next presentation is from University of Delaware Community Engagement Scholars. And our presenter is Leanne Moore. She is the Associate Director of Community Engagement and uses she, her pronouns at the University of Delaware. So how is she connected? Well, she's the director of the program, so she is connected. And what she's excited about to do in this particular lightning session is she's excited to share her program with the network. It's a robust 3 to 4 year program connecting curricular and co-curricular components. It shows up as an honors degree, which is very enticing to students. And if she was not in academia, she would be a librarian. That's awesome. I'm going to turn it over to you now, Leanne. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I apologize that I am not on video. My computer decided today it didn't want to work. So I apologize. So I'm going to go over pretty quickly this program. As I noted in the intro, the Community Engagement Initiative at the university, which runs this course of study, is an initiative of the Provost's office. We do a variety of things for faculty and staff development, student engagement, but then are also responsible for the tracking and evaluation of our community partnerships. So this is part of our student portfolio. The course of study is a 3 to 4 year program. We say you have to have added it to your academic program by the end of your first semester of sophomore year. It does have curricular and co-curricular components, so it's 18 credits total of curricular components. There are only 2 what we call named courses in that. One is Intro to Civic and Community Engagement, and then one is Public Policy in a Changing World. So we're looking at community engagement first from a high level of what it is, how it compares to civic engagement, how does your civic and community identity, how does your power dynamic, your privilege fit into all of that, and then giving all students a primer on how the public sector fits into that as well. The rest of the courses are kind of like a choose your own adventure based on the major or minors that the student has declared. So 9, they have to go through our faculty review committee, which I lead. There's representation from all of our colleges on campus to approve at least 9 credits that have a community engagement component as a part of the course. We are just starting to institute a tracking process by instructor for courses that have community engagement components. So every time, and this isn't just for course of study students, but they'll be able to use the course catalog every semester to find courses that have these components, but not just based on the course, but by who is teaching it. So depending on the course, some of them have 5 different sections, and only 3 of the instructors of those sections include a community engagement component. So we're making sure to divide that out. 2 credits of integrated service in academics does not necessarily need to be in the major or minor that the student has declared, but this basically means that there is a in the classroom component to learn skills, and then they're implementing them outside of the classroom during the semester. Oftentimes that does lead to internships or to volunteer hours. For example, the student that's here, Alexandra Lee, took a class that taught her how to be a engaged volunteer for Lori's Hands, which is a nonprofit. It's a national nonprofit, but it actually started as a student organization on UD's campus that connects college students with um, older individuals living with chronic illness. There's no medical need for the student to have those skills, but it's really about um, intergenerational conversation, companionship, but then also helping with things like yard work and grocery shopping and things of that nature. She took the class for the 2 credits and then ended up doing over 200 of hours of service with them after the class was over and interned with them as well. So kind of a gateway to a different type of experience that she wouldn't have had otherwise. And then they all have to do a at least 3 credits of capstone that applies at least one of their declared majors in the field. In terms of co-curricular opportunities, we have an immersion experience requirement. This is more than just an internship. This just can't be sitting and filing in a law office, for example. There's a contract we have with the student and the community partner as well to lay out what A, the hours are, B, the responsibilities and the learning outcomes, but then also there's key reflection points during the immersion experience, which is a full-time experience. 160 hours of service outside of anything we just talked about, so you're not double dipping in those hours. And then there is an e-portfolio at the end of to do the senior year, to reflect and think critically about how all of these components fit together based on their next steps. In the breakout rooms, I will share a little bit more detail about the e-portfolio as well as the courses. That first course, the SPA 100, is taught by me. It is mostly freshmen that take it unless they're also in a World Scholars program, which means that they would take it in their first semester of their freshman year, if at all possible, unless they are studying abroad or aren't on main campus yet. This is open to our associate in arts students as well. And the whole course of study is a cohort model. So that first credit with me as the director and advisor for the program allows us to really get to know each other, and that course, it changes slightly. The principles are the same, but how we think about community engagement really depends on what the students are most interested in at that point in time. Just a brief snapshot. As of September 25th of this year, we had 152 students enrolled with 124 active. That means that they communicate with me at least on a monthly basis. There's the breakdown of our students per year. We do have a smaller group this year for our first year students because we are in the midst of changing how we recruit for the program, and I'll talk about that a little bit in a second. And then I don't know if we're going to be able to share these slides. I hope so after, but you'll be able to click through some of these e-portfolios to see what some past students have done as a part of the program, and I'll share those as well as in the breakout room. So I mentioned a little bit, we've had some retention issues. So traditionally, when the program started in 2019, everyone was admitted through the traditional admissions process. So you get admitted to the University of Delaware. There are about 6 different scholars and fellows programs, including community engagement scholars, that you could apply for after you're admitted. And say you're going to come to UD, you can apply for these in addition, similar to like an honors degree would. But we have about 25% of those students that are admitted in that realm through admissions completely melt off during their second or third year, mostly because they haven't been to campus yet and they don't know what they want to get involved in. Similarly, the 17, 18-year-olds that we're catching at the beginning of the admissions process are a specific type of student or have a specific type of parent that are reading the millions of pieces of literature that we're sending them in the months ahead of declaring that you're going to come to campus. So we're missing students. So we're still going to do that admissions process, but we're doing a lot more recruitment once students are already on campus. And as such, for capacity reasons, we only admitted about 25 versus 50 students in this year's admissions process.
Leanne, we're coming to a close for your presentation. If you
Okay.
have a last point or two, and then folks can reconnect with you in the breakout rooms.
Sure. So in the breakout room, I'm happy to talk more about how we've built out the program since 2019, and then also what we're looking to change into the future.
All right. Thank you so much, Leanne. Again, applause, hearts, fun for Leanne. That would be amazing. All right, we're going to move on now. We're moving on to our colleague, Travis Lovett, who is the Assistant Dean for Civic Engagement and Service at Harvard College, who uses he, him, his pronouns. And how is he connected to the program? Well, he's a key advisor to the certificate for civic engagement and part of the implementation team. I love the response. Why are you excited to share your program with the network? He is most excited about helping us all navigate bureaucratic issues and avoiding what he calls institutional inertia. So I'm excited to hear about your presentation too, Travis. And if not in academia, what would he be doing? Well, he would be a journalist. All right, turning it over to you, sir.
Thanks so much, Renee. And hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Part of what I was hoping to share today about Harvard's Certificate for Civic Engagement is just that we are at an early stage. We're really at the launch point of our certificate. So the certificate's opening up with the class of 2025. And, I'm really here to talk about, I just kind of coined it as institutional inertia and really thinking through roadblocks. So if folks are thinking about implementing a program like this in the breakout room, I'll be sharing a little bit more about just how we've managed to navigate obstacles. And certainly we could probably spend 7 minutes on each one, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to share my screen. And just know that some of these slides will be shared. I'll share these slides post session, but we'll go through some of this structurally pretty quickly. One of the things, as we were working to develop this program, so this program actually launched with our incoming president last year declaring that she wanted us to develop a program. And so that actually helped to create some gravity around trying to implement this program to really emphasize civic work and emphasize our academic connections. So I'm here today representing the Center for Public Service and Engaged Scholarship. My colleague Varsha Ghosh is also here today representing the center. We've also had our colleagues as part of our implementation team. We've worked with our Office for Undergraduate Education. We've worked with the Registrar's Office to specifically think about timing. And then we've been working with our Mindich Program and Engaged Scholarship, which is our anchor program that focuses on community engagement through the classroom. And so there are about 55 engaged scholarship courses that are part of the center's portfolio. And so that has become part of the backbone of the certificate program. And so one of the things I was just going to mention is at institutions, establishing a precedent is really hard. And so especially a place like Harvard where there's almost 400 years of academic tradition, and introducing something new. The certificate is the first of its kind, the first certificate that will actually be listed on student transcripts. So just Creating synergy among units is really crucial in building project teams. I think of my role very much as an advisor or facilitator, but I'm often stepping in, kind of thinking about project management, key deadlines, and troubleshooting. So happy to walk through all of those things during our session. But the Certificate for Civic Engagement has 3 core components. As I mentioned, our Mindich Program and Engage Scholarship has about 55 courses, community-focused courses that are part of this portfolio. We actually have been working with our Office of Undergraduate Education to reach other faculty members to think about courses that fit into this environment. 12 credits is 3 courses, typically 3 courses at Harvard. So students have they have about 90 or a little over 90 courses that are part of the Certificate for Civic Engagement portfolio. One of the challenges we'll get into is just also that faculty have to nominate courses for themselves, that this can't be something that is student driven. It's really driven by faculty. So we had to strategically kind of figure that out in terms of thinking about how to connect with potential courses and connect with faculty members on campus and think about how we're reaching a critical mass. The second component of the certificate is that we had a 300-hour practicum. And so our practicum is actually based on AmeriCorps' quarter time commitment. So we anchored this as a 300-hour experience. We also really wanted to reinforce depth of experience, either at an organization that student volunteers with through the school year, or this could also be accomplished through a summer internship experience working with a community partner. And so the practicum is a 300-hour commitment in that space. And then finally, the third component of this is really thinking about how to tie these experiences together through a series of reflections. So there are 3 course reflections. There's a final reflection thinking about how these different experiences fit together. And the reflection component ends in a capstone retreat. Excuse me, which we are operating with over our winter break. So the capstone and the reflection components really work to tie program components together and also work to bring students and bring community together too. And then just in terms of core goals in bringing community together, we really wanted just to ensure that students had the opportunity to look at social issues from multiple perspectives and just really consider how evidence analysis and action really help to inform the work. And we connected this back through thinking through how do we do intellectual work and personal development work, how that work goes hand in hand. And so it was really important for the practicum experience to engage with a community partner to give the students some core grounding, just to think about how to connect with communities and how to connect with civic leaders. And again, we were trying to think about how this experience is more than the sum of its parts, and really thinking about how to synthesize learning in the classroom and community, and really thinking about how do we tie these different elements together so that to amplify learning and also to encourage peer-to-peer learning. So students are sharing their reflections. We have a Canvas site where students are posting and where they can share their materials and information. And we're also organizing sessions and activities to help to build community among the students who are participating in this program. So we'll be happy to talk a little bit about that. As I mentioned, getting courses on a pre-approved list is a bit tricky because it is only faculty initiated. One of the strategies that we had to kind of work through the inertia of faculty not knowing about the program or faculty not considering this program is we actually polled our student leaders to identify courses that they think that would fit as part of the certificate portfolio. And we as a staff then use that course list, that course base to reach out to faculty members. So that was one way for us to kind of think about how students were thinking about this experience and how they were contextualizing this, and thinking about the work, just the general work that we do to engage with a broader range of faculty. And again, this is anchored by our Mindich Program and Engage Scholarship. We also encourage folks, just if there wasn't something that wasn't on the Educational Policy Committee, there's a faculty committee that pre-approves courses, to let us know, and we as a department handle that handle that engagement with faculty. With the certificate with the practicum requirement, one of the things that we really wanted to think about, and one of the areas where we got stuck, was thinking about political engagement. So you'll see that we have a general campus definition of public service work, but we really wanted to think about specifically the kinds of projects and the kinds of things that would count. And because we had advocacy and organizing as something that we thought was core to student learning, we also made the determination that political engagement counts. If students are working with an elected official's office, if students are working on a campaign, that kind of work. There was a lot of division among the advisors who were in this implementation group. So we tried to really think about politics and advocacy, thinking about it as a civic skill set. And this is an opportunity for them to implement their work.
Travis, if you have one last thought, we're at time. So
sounds good. I would say that just that the place where we're at the moment is the specifically thinking through the capstone retreat element. So as we're defining this and developing this experience, we have an implementation. Our implementation working group is now working specifically just on designing the capstone experience. So what I would say about that is really thinking through facilitatively how to harness a lot of information and bring a lot of different workshop ideas together. That's where we really have been using facilitation and project management skills to think about how do we harness ideas and energy to think about developing the retreat in and of itself. So anyone who's at an early stage, I'm happy to talk more in our breakout group, or someone who's thinking about trying to develop a program like this, I'm happy to advise on the places that have been, where the excitement's been, where the challenges have been for us.
Thank you so much, Travis. Appreciate it. All right, folks, now is the time for our stretch break. So we were going to return back here at 1:35, or I'm sorry, 1:36 Eastern time. See you soon. Folks, as you're coming back into the room, if you would turn your camera on, give us some reactions, something so that we know everybody's back with us. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. It looks like they're all coming back, all good and ready for you, Laurel. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm pleased to be able to introduce Laurel Hurt from the University of Minnesota, who is going to be talking about the University of Minnesota Community Engagement Scholars Program. Laurel is the director of the Center for Community Engaged Learning. She uses she, her pronouns. And how she's connected to the program? Well, she's the founder. So that's awesome. Hearing it from the OG. What is she excited about? Well, she is excited about sharing her program with the network. She likes to share and get feedback from others. So this would be a good place to join her in the breakout rooms where you can share about this program and others as well. And if she were not in academia, what career would she seek? I learned something new about Laurel today, arts management. So that's amazing. And we're going to turn this over to you, Laurel. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Hopefully you can all see my screen. Correct? Yes. Okay. All right. So I will get started here. So, maybe. So a little bit about the history and rationale for developing our program. We were asked, or I was asked back early on to look at ways we could encourage students to continue past their community engaged learning course experiences by our community partners. So that was one thing. We were also looking at how to recognize students for the work they were already doing. And at about the same time, our vice provost for undergraduate education asked me to create a work group and explore options for doing these things. A couple things to keep in mind. We are a very decentralized campus. We also have a funding model where the tuition follows the student. So a couple of the things that we were not allowed to do was require many credits towards a program, but the workload is about equivalent of a minor. And we call this program kind of our honors version of community engagement. The Board of Regents approved the program in May of 2004. We launched our program in April of 2005, and we graduated our first group of students, which there were 8 of, in May of 2007. So a little bit about our program overview, and I'll go into more of this directly. All students complete an info session, and then they complete a workshop for new scholars. The overall program requires them to complete 400 hours of community engagement work. They do 8 credits of community engaged learning courses, 6 thematic reflections on their experiences, and then they take a 1-credit capstone course that our office teaches. My colleague Jess is with us, and she'll be joining me in the breakout rooms. Official benefits: our students receive a certificate of distinction from the university. They also receive a notation on their official U of M transcript. It's one of the very few things aside from academic honors and their individual courses that show up. They get acknowledgement in their college's commencement program. They receive a medal from us to wear at commencement, and we celebrate them through a celebration of distinction reception with their friends and family members. Additional benefits, these are probably the more important ones in our eyes, is that it's an opportunity for students to build community amongst their peers at this large institution. And it gives them valuable career and personal experiences to use towards their applications and interviews for awards, scholarships, graduate and professional schools, as well as their full and part-time and full-time professional jobs after graduation. Eligibility: it's any undergraduate student at the University of Minnesota, every major and minor. We do not have an application process, so they're accepted if they think they can realistically complete the program before they graduate, and it's very flexible. So the workshop for new scholars, students explore a number of concepts related to community engagement, their motivations and benefits of doing community engagement work. They talk about, we introduce the social change wheel to them, talk about identities, power, and privilege as that relates to their community work, and meaningful versus shallow engagement. And students leave that session by learning about their first reflection requirement, which is our ethic of engagement reflection. So for us, community engagement means any work done with a community entity or in partnership with a community entity that addresses a social issue and or meets a community identified interest or need. Mentioned just a few minutes ago, we use the social change wheel. So students have a whole range of ways they can engage. These are some of the main ones. We see a lot of students certainly doing direct engagement, indirect kind of background support with an organization, advocacy work, and we do have a growing number of students who are doing community engaged research and support in some way. Any experience towards that 400 has to at least be a 20-hour commitment. That can happen over a number of years. We have a number of ways of talking about the different categories. I noticed this in Travis's as well. So hours that are accepted, hours that are require a petition, or things that are unaccepted hours towards the program. 8 credits of community engaged learning courses. We do have, our office creates a list of those courses that we advertise every semester, which may or may not be the same as our community engaged learning attribute courses. These are just several examples of some of them. Our courses range from usually 2 to 4 credits. Students can count their experiences that they've done abroad. Same things apply in terms of what's allowed or not allowed. And we do have a number of abroad programs that are great fits for our students. We do work with students in that being flexible space to count retroactive things that they have done previously once they join the program. It's very hard to learn about our programs on our big campuses, and we have had students join us their second to this end semester and fully complete the program. So if they've done the work, we think they should get the benefit of completing that. So we work with them to count all of those previous things that they may have done at another institution before they transferred to the university, or that they did while it is enrolled undergraduate student. The reflections, I would say, are really the key component of our program, that when we've done a research study on the program, students really talked about the importance of that. Their thematic reflections. So we start out with that ethic of engagement, which is discussed with their advisor during their enrollment meeting. We have a sense of self-reflection and a collaboration and community building reflection, identities, power and privilege reflection, an agency reflection, and then their final reflection, which is their integration and contextualization reflection, happens during our capstone course. All of our reflections have a responder that is required. Sometimes it is us, often is another student, or a community partner, a family member, a friend, based on the reflection choice that they make. Sense of self, agency, and power and privilege, identities, power, and privilege all have multiple modalities of doing reflection. So that's why we allow for those differences.
Laurel, if you have one final point,
Okay.
we're at
Yep.
time.
I am very close to the end, I think, here. So I'll share our CESP sessions and our capstone experience. That capstone, that's that 1 credit piece. Students are doing an integrative community engagement project, or ICEP, where they are negotiating that with a partner, and they do that final reflection, which is done as a digital story about their undergraduate experience and how they have tied community work and academic work in their future. So happy to answer any questions people have, as well as share ideas we're having for expanding and building out the program, not as the full program, but maybe giving students the benefit of participating even if they don't want to or can't complete the full program.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laurel. Can we get a round of applause for Laurel and for all of our presenters as we move into the next part of our session today? Thank you so much. All right, so we are going to go ahead and move into our first 15-minute breakout. And Bobby is helping to, yep, there we go. She's got the breakout rooms open. You can choose where you wish to go. And the facilitators who presented today will serve as facilitators for the discussion in the breakout room. And when we come back after this first breakout room, those facilitators will share a highlight or a compelling question that was raised in the session, and then we'll take a quick break and head back into your second opportunity to speak with these folks. So please go ahead and join your breakout rooms now.